The first thing the Galactic Council noticed about humans wasn't their technology, their weapons, or even their stubborn refusal to follow basic interstellar law. It was their inexplicable ability to befriend the most dangerous creatures in the universe. Liana Chen stood before the towering crystalline beings of the Council, her small frame dwarfed by their imposing presence. Beside her, coiled around her shoulders like a living scarf, was the reason for this emergency session: a baby void dragon, its scales shimmering with the deep purple of nebular gas. Counselor Zeth 9. Liana addressed the lead crystal being, her voice steady despite the weight of a dozen alien gazes upon her. With respect, I don't understand why Spark's presence here is such a concern. The creature she called Spark raised its serpentine head, golden eyes scanning the assembly with ancient intelligence that belied its small size. No bigger than a house cat, the dragon possessed enough latent power to crack a moon in half when fully grown. Counselor Zeth 9's form pulsed with agitated light. That creature is a void dragon, Human Chen. Their adult forms have been responsible for the destruction of 17 solar systems. They cannot be tamed, controlled, or reasoned with. Yet somehow, the being's voice carried a note of bewilderment. It follows you like a domesticated pet. Commander Raza Malik stepped forward from behind Liana, his Earth Defense Force uniform, crisp despite their long journey to the council chambers. If I may, counselors. The bond between Liana and the dragon began during our survey mission on Kepler 442c. 3 months earlier, their research team had been cataloging the planet's unique ecosystem when they discovered the dragon's egg in a crystalline cave. It had been Liana, the team's xenobiologist, who had noticed the egg's distress signals, subtle pattern of heat fluctuations that indicated the parent dragons were long dead. Most species would have left the egg to die. Raza continued, his dark eyes finding Liana's. But humans, we have this peculiar inability to abandon young creatures in need. Liana had insisted on bringing the egg back to their base camp, rigging an improvised incubation chamber from their equipment. She'd monitored its vital signs around the clock, adjusting temperature and humidity with the dedication of a new mother. When the egg finally hatched, the tiny dragon had imprinted on her immediately, its first sight being her concerned face hovering over the makeshift nest. The creature's behavior defies all known xenobiological patterns, added Counselor Vex Prime, their insectoid form clicking with agitation. Void dragons are apex predators. They should not form attachments. Spark lifted his head higher, a small puff of violet energy escaping his nostrils, a sign of annoyance that Liana had learned to recognize. She gently stroked behind his horn nubs, and the dragon immediately relaxed, nuzzling into her neck. Perhaps that's where you're wrong, Liana said softly. Every creature needs connection, needs to belong somewhere. Spark chose me because I was there when he hatched, yes, but he stays because I respect him as he is. The council chambers fell silent except for the harmonic resonance of the crystalline being's forms. In that silence, Spark began to emit a low, melodic hum, a sound that Liana had discovered meant contentment. The vibration seemed to calm even the agitated counselors. Explain, Zeth 9 demanded. Liana smiled, the expression transforming. Her serious face. I never tried to cage him or control him. When he wanted to hunt, I let him hunt the asteroid miners that were bothering our camp. When he wanted to explore, we explored together. I learned his language of colors and sounds, and he learned mine. Raza watched his colleague with admiration. During their mission, he'd witnessed something remarkable. Not just a dragon bonding with a human, but a human adapting her entire lifestyle to accommodate an alien intelligence. Liana had learned to think in 3 dimensions as Spark did, to appreciate the beauty of solar winds and magnetic fields through his senses. The question, Raza addressed the council, isn't whether humans can befriend dangerous creatures. We've been doing that since we domesticated wolves 50,000 years ago. The question is whether the galaxy can accept that some problems require unconventional solutions. Counselor Vex Prime's compound eyes focused on the pair. What do you mean, Commander? The void dragon migration routes have been causing spatial anomalies for centuries, Liana explained. Your solution has always been to drive them away with weapons, which only makes them more aggressive. But what if there was another way? She looked down at Spark, who gazed back with those ancient golden eyes. Spark doesn't just trust me. He communicates with other dragons. Through him, we could establish diplomatic contact with the adult populations. Instead of forcing them away from populated systems, we could negotiate safe passage routes. The implications sent ripples of discussion through the council. For millennia, they had viewed the void dragons as a force of nature to be avoided or destroyed. The concept of treating them as a civilization to be negotiated with was revolutionary. You would risk everything on the bond between one human and one infant dragon? Zeth9 asked. Liana's hand found Raza's, their fingers intertwining. That's what humans do, she said simply. We build bridges where others see walls. We find family where others see strangers. Spark unfurled his tiny wings, catching the chamber's artificial light like stained glass windows. His contentment hum grew stronger, and for a moment, even the most skeptical counselors felt a strange sense of peace. Very well, Zeth9 finally declared. The council will observe this and experiment. But understand, human Chen, you now carry the responsibility for not just your own species, but for the relationship between dragons and the galaxy itself. As they left the council chambers, Raza squeezed Liana's hand. Think it will work? Liana looked at Spark, who had begun playfully chasing his own tail around her shoulders. Ask me again in a few years when he's the size of a star destroyer and still thinks I'm his mom. The dragon chirped in what could only be described as laughter, and somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, his call was answered by voices ancient and powerful, ready to listen to the small human who spoke their child's name with such love.